algebras, and welcome to Chapter 2, Lesson 2 notes. We are going to talk today about measures of center. Before I begin, please notice that in front of me is my graphing calculator, or is my graphing calculator over here, right? So we have graphing calculators ready to go. Notice they are TI-84 CEs. So mine are the color edition, the rechargeable battery edition, right? But your graphing calculator, your TI-84 plus would still look the same and do the same. It just wouldn't be color screens like mine are, an LCD screen like this guy, right? But before I even begin with that, one of the first things I want to teach you about using the graphing calculator is that we like to reset the memory on the graphing calculators pretty regularly just to make sure we don't have a bunch of data stored in there from before, or as you can see on my computer screen graphing calculator, there's a graph still there. And when we do data, the graphs and the data are different things, but they use that same screen. So we want to get rid of this kind of stuff. So what I want you to do with your graphing calculator to practice, because I'm going to ask you to clear its memory regularly, is I want you to start by pressing the second key, which on both of mine is blue. And so see how you get that little cursor up there. And then press the plus sign. In blue above the plus sign, it says MEM for memory. This is where we go to reset the memory. Now I want you to note I have the same screen on both of those, right? So now what we do to reset the memory is number 7. So press 7, reset. And there are options here for RAM, archive, and all. We reset all, okay? So arrow right, see how it's up at the top right here? Right here, so it's top right. So we take the right arrow, arrow right, and now the only option under that is all memory. So you press 1 or enter, and then yes or no to reset all, just press 2. Sorry, I'm trying to do this at the same time. And then when it says mem cleared, you know you have a memory wiped graphing calculator. So you're starting off at factory settings, okay? And that's something I'm going to ask you to do pretty regularly with your graphing calculator to ensure we don't have leftover data, to ensure we don't have graphs in there that are going to interrupt while we're using our data. It's one of the things you want to be using. So remember, I told you at the last lesson, you got to have your graphing calculator ready to go for this one. So either have downloaded it onto your Chromebook, or you have purchased one and you physically have it in front of you, right? So either one, whichever it is. All right, now I can actually get into mean, median, and mode. I'm going to show you how you can use your graphing calculator to find 2 out of those 3, and if you include range, 2 out of the 4 methods, okay? That's what we're going to be kind of reviewing today. So, mean, it's your average. Median, it's your middle. Mode, it's your most. These are the main pieces we use to describe the measure of center when it comes to our data sets. The range is the maximum minus the minimum. A lot of M words here, right? Mean, median, mode, max, min. Lots of M words, but we need to know what all of them are, okay? We're going to start by talking about the mean, because the mean or the average is kind of what you think of most as the middle of your data, right? Is the center of your data, and it seems to be what you use when you're going through data pieces, like grades. So here's our first example. Ralph's grades, zoom in on Ralph here. Ralph's grades on 5 tests in his science class are 93, 80, 86, 72, and 94. Find the mean of Ralph's test scores and show your work below. So I will show you how to write out your work here. You probably remember that to figure out an average, you add up all of your data values. And again, I will be using my graphing calculator, so just hang tight. Add up all of your data values and divide by how many total data values you're adding up, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As we already knew, because it said right there, 5 test scores, right? You knew that. So on your graphing calculator, that looks like 93 plus 80, there we go, plus 86, plus 72, plus 80, 94, and press enter. Divide that by 5. What do we get? 85. That's the mean. Now, to describe mean with a symbol, mean is X bar. Okay, mean is X bar. So X with a bar over it is your symbol for mean. So X bar equals 85. Okay. Is the mean of Ralph's test scores an appropriate description of measure of center for test scores? Absolutely. For test scores, that makes the most sense. Okay, for test scores, that makes the most sense to add them all up and divide by how many you have, and that gives you your average. So, yes, that's the most appropriate. Okay, that's why we use it for grading, right? I add up all your test scores, total number of points you've gotten on all your test scores, and I divide it by how many total points you could have gotten on all of your test scores. That's how I figure out your test average when I'm figuring that out. Okay, versus the median. And we'll see here in this example why the median and the mean are going to be very different as far as measures of center are concerned. Okay, so we're going to use a separate example here. We have 7 employees at a car wash. The ages are 17, 19, 20, 17, 46, 17, and 18. The mean is 22. But does that truly represent the data? And let's just prove that real quick, right? So 17, sorry, I can't see all my data, plus 19, plus 20, plus 17, plus 46, plus 17, plus 18, and divide by 7 employees. Yeah, 22, right? The mean is 22. Are there even any 22-year-olds that work there? No. What's causing the distortion of the mean? 46. We're going to say doesn't belong with the other ages. Now, in my mind, the 46-year-old, likely the older adult manager of the car wash, right? Which kind of makes sense. And then the employees are younger, right? Doing that particular job, and this person manages those people, right? That makes sense. But the mean doesn't truly represent the data in this case. Now, notice it did for test scores. It doesn't for these ages. There is no one who's 22 that works at this car wash. Okay, and 22, by the way, is 2 years older than the next highest of the first 6 out of 7 data values. This 46 really throws the data. But if you rearrange these in chronological order, which means smallest to largest age-wise, you see that the median is the middle, right here. This is the middle data value. MED is what we use to represent median as our symbol for median, right? This is the middle data value. Does 18 make more sense to talk about the measure of center, the center of all these ages? Yeah, this makes way more sense to describe the ages of the people that work in this car wash. The average, well, you wouldn't say average, the middle age of the people who work at the car wash is 18. Okay, and so notice I stopped myself from saying average because the average is the mean only. The median is the middle of the data values. I'm going to put it this way to you. If you ever have a question about which one is better, stick to the median because the median is the middle of all of your data. Okay. All right. So notice I was able to count in to get the median because there were 7 data values. If there's an even number of data values, you take the 2 middle data values and find the average of them. So either way, you need to know how to find the average or the mean of your data set. Right, right, right. Ah, see, look, I'm about to do it. So now what I'm going to do is relist with a new employee. So now we have 8 employees. Okay. So 17, 17, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 46. Now count in, right? There's two middles this time. So what you do is add them up and divide by 2 to get the median. All right. So 18 plus 19 is 37, and 37 divided by 2 is 18 and a half. So this time the median is 18 and a half. Does that make sense? Well, email me if it doesn't, because it's not like you just answered me there. Last but certainly not least is the mode. And the mode is the data value that is used the most. I like to kind of the alliteration of mode and most because they both start with mo, right? M-O. So I like that alliteration for these types of things. And there are many ways that you could have a mode. You might have one mode. You might have multiple modes. You might have no mode. And so I just want to show you in all these different data sets what the mode is or are. Okay? So look, we'll use the example we just had of the car wash peeps. And you see that 17 is clearly used more than any of the other data values. The mode here is 17. Now look at this next one. 6, 6, 8, 11, 14, 21, 6 is the mode. Okay, so one mode in both of those examples. But now look at this next one. Photographs printed for Renee's last 6 roll of film are 8, 8, 9, 11, 11, 12. Both 8 and 11 are used the same number of times, which is more than any others. 8 and 11 are modes. People living in each house on Merrill Street. 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 8. There you go. 2, 3, and 5 are all used twice, which is the most out of any of the data values. So all 3 are modes. So you can have multiple modes. You can have one mode, multiple modes, or no mode. Like Ralph's test scores. We're back to them. Are any of these values used more than once? No, no mode. And there you have it. And that's how we do modes. By the way, I've just given you a lot of information. Now will be a great time to kind of chill, stop, take a little bit of it in. Now we're back to range. The range is the minimum and the maximum subtracted, right? So that would be the max minus the min. That's your range. You actually do the subtraction. You don't do the 2, right? We want to do the actual subtraction. The range is the number of data values we are between, okay? So the weights in pounds of 5 players on a basketball team, 5 players total, are 168, 174, 181, 195, 182. What's the minimum, right? So figure out what the lowest one is. Well, the minimum is 168. What's the maximum? Well, what's the highest? That would be your 195. And now you just subtract max minus min, and that's your range. So, of course, your max is 195. Your min is 168. And just dive right in. $27 is your range. Okay? That's how we figure that out. Now, you will notice that I have a nice little graphing calculator right up there. And that little picture of the graphing calculator is just indicating, hey, we're about to use this. We're about to use this graphing calculator to find our mean and our median. We'll actually use the data that comes out to find our range too. So all of the screens that I'm showing here are the screens on the TI-84 plus CE. So these are the screens that you'll see when I work. Your 84 screens are the same except this list, right? So that list scene is a little bit different. My list, because my actual LED screen is just slightly bigger as far as I think it's like lengthwise is a little bit bigger than the classic 84 screen. I have a little bit more room there. It's just a matter of the LED versus the old, screen, the old screen mode. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you both on here and on here what I'm doing to enter my data and how I'm using my list. And I've got all the screens in here. Okay. All the screens I'm using are in here, and all the directions I'm using are listed here. Okay. So if you're going back and doing this on your own, you can be reading that, or you can be using this video again, because that's why we're making videos for all this stuff. You can rewatch, use this again, come back and rewatch this, use this, help you on that graphing calculator piece. I'm going to rely heavily on using the graphing calculator because I want you to get the steps down. So I'm going to keep doing the graphing calculator stuff over and over and over. So you're getting those steps down. All right. All right. Well, let's begin. We're going to use Ralph's test scores. So my data is right up here. Okay. My data is 93, 80, 86, 72, 94. And how I enter my data is I press stat, which is right here and over here. Remember, I've got two screens. You haven't seen my classroom yet, but I've got two screens. Notice we're all on the same screen. Okay. And enter. And that gets me to my lists. Okay. Now in list one, notice I'm highlighted in list one. I'm going to enter Ralph's test scores. 93, enter. 80, enter. 86, enter. And notice enter gets me from one of my places in my column to the next place in my column. Enter. Now I'm going to do that over here just so you can see me pressing the buttons over here too, right? So 93, enter. 80, enter. 86, enter. 72, enter. And 94, enter. So my screens looks the same. Now I want you to notice down here, look at that, L1 and 6, L1 and 6. It's looking for the sixth data value if you have one. We know that Ralph only had 5 test scores, so we don't have a sixth data value. So we're not going to enter a sixth data value. All right? That's the first piece. Now, what you do is, I just want to show you where I'm getting this, right? Now, press stat again, okay? So now press stat again. Okay. And I'm going to do that over here. Stat. Let's fix this so you can see my screen a little bit more. Notice we're on this screen again, and we've seen this screen. But if you look here, I need you to arrow so that calc is highlighted at the top. Right now, edit is highlighted at the top. So if you arrow right, now calc is highlighted at the top, and this is the list of stuff you see. What's the only thing on this list of stuff you need for this entire chapter? Right here, 1 var stats. That is the only thing on this entire list you need for chapter 2. So you don't care about anything else under calc right now. Not until chapter 14 even. Just 1 var stats for now. So let's press either 1 or enter. It doesn't matter which. On one calculator, I pressed 1. On one calculator, I pressed enter. Doesn't matter which. Now notice the default is to have that on L1, list 1. Where did we put our data? List 1. That part's taken care of. We don't care about list frequency. So, oh, that worked. Arrow down, right? Arrow down, arrow down. So calculate is highlighted. And now press enter or enter, I think. Either one. And notice what comes out. Oh, hey, remember when we figured out the mean was X bar and we figured out that Ralph's mean science test score was 85? Look, what's the first thing we see? X bar, 85. It figured out the mean for us. Cool. Okay. Now I want you to notice something, and I'm going to keep one graphing calculator on this list and the other graphing calculator on the other list. But I want you to see that there is an arrow right here that indicates there's more data down here. So if you press the arrow down, notice I'm leaving one screen I'm leaving this screen so you can see what the top had said, but I arrowed down so you can see what the bottom had said. So these are, now look, there's an arrow to go back up because there's more information up. So see, there's more information that spits out of one var stats. And so you've got all this information that potentially spits out of one var stats. Okay. Now, as far as calculator screen goes, I'm now up here. And now I'm pointing out that that was the mean and that this down here is the median, MED. Now notice I also have the max and the min. So see, I can do the range really easily too. Okay. But notice the mode is not one of the values you can determine this way. The mode is just not there. All right. So that is a bummer. Everything else you can find this way. And again, max x minus min x is the range. Okay. So there we have it. Now let's use the graphing calculator to do exercise 5. And this would be the car washes thing. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get verified that the stuff we found for the car wash was correct. All right. Go to stat, and notice I'm telling you a new thing right here. Arrow down to number 4, which is clear list. Oh, let me go to stat over here. Sorry, I forgot I was running 2 graphing calculators. Arrow down to 4 and either press enter or press 4 to get into clear list. Now, the thing you have to do is you have to tell your graphing calculator what list to clear. We had put data in L1, but we don't want that data anymore. We're done with Ralph's test scores. Now we want to do this car wash peeps. So press second and 1, because notice L1 is in blue over the 1 key. So that's how I get the L1 here for the list. So second and 1 gets me that L1, and then press enter, and you have cleared that list. If you now press stat, and I'll do it on both, stat, and then enter, or 1, L1 is empty. So now I can put the car wash stuff in L1. So 17, 19, 20, 17, 46, 17, and 18. Okay, now I'm going to do it over here. 17, oh, it's right in front of me. Hello. Plus 19. Having a million screens isn't always helpful, but sometimes. And I do want you doing this with me because you're practicing, making sure you can enter this stuff in the graphing calculator. Just like that. There we go. Notice again, there were only 7 people working at the car wash, but this is asking me for an 8th person, right? On that one exercise, we hired an 8th person, but I guess they've left. Sorry. Peace out, 21-year-old. All right, here we are. There we go. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to press stat again. So press stat again now that we've got our data entered in our list, and we arrow right to calc. And notice 1 var stat is all we care about on this screen. So either press 1 or enter, right? And it defaults to L1. Well, good, that's where we put our data. And so now you can press enter to get down to calculate, or arrow down to calculate, and press enter. And look at that. Just like they said in that problem, they told us in that problem, and we figured it out ourselves that the mean was 22, but now we've got it on our screen, right? So again, there's more information down, so we arrow down. I'll leave that one up there so you can see that I've still got that information up. It's that same information. The median, which we had figured out earlier by putting the stuff in chronological order, is 18. We don't know the mode from the graphing calculator, but obviously looking 17, 17, 17 is used 3 times. It is used the most. The range is the max, 46, minus the min, 17. So all you'd have to do is 46 minus 17. But notice, as soon as I type something that's not an arrow in my data set's gone. Okay, so just so you have an idea, wait to do that one last, right? So 29 is the range of ages, right? 29-year span. And of course, all that's right there. So when you go to do your homework tonight, I want you using this information from the graphing calculator, okay? I want you to use this to help you. You've got either the emulator, the app, the Chromebook app, or you've got a physical graphing calculator. Either way, you got an 84 plus. These steps are exactly the same. Okay, these steps are exactly the same. I know I've got an LED screen and a fancy plug charger. Some of you have that, some of you don't. Some of you might have fancy colors for this. I have the plain old black. There's a maroon one out there. Show your school spirit. Okay. Good luck, guys. And let me know if you need anything. But all the screens and steps are right there. So make sure you're reading, maybe rewinding this, maybe you're watching this, right? As you go through and use your graphing calculator. Good luck, and I shall be seeing you soon.